Good morning, dear children. This is Rajesh Prasad. Today we are going to learn about the excretion. You know very well, in our daily life we eat different kinds of food items and we drink fruit juices, milk, tea and other juices. You know very well, in the previous classes we discussed about that how the energy is producing in the body. While the energy producing in the body, some of the waste materials are going to produce. Here, you know very well, if you want to manufacture a thing, we need a factory. You know very well, all the things around us, most of them are coming from the factories. It means in the factory, while the manufacturing a new thing, some of the waste products are going to produce. Here, if the waste products are not sent out from the factory, what will happen? Then the total area, the total surrounding area in the factory is contaminated and getting bad smell, and the surrounding area people getting the diseases. Here what I mean to say, our human body also a factory. The process of producing energy in the digestive system, in this, some of the waste materials are being produced. Here, if we not send these waste materials from our body, what will happen? These waste materials are accumulating in our body. They become toxic and it leads to death also. So, we need to remove the waste materials from the body. To remove the waste materials from the body, we have a system is called excretory system. Here, as I told you, if these waste materials are not sent out from the body, all these waste materials are accumulating in the body and damaging our cells, and it becomes toxic and it leads to death also. Yes sir, what are the waste materials are producing in our body? By the metabolic activities in our body, catabolic activities, anabolic activities are there. These catabolic activities, anabolic activities becomes metabolic activities. By this, all these metabolic activities, some of the waste materials are producing in our body. We should be remove this waste material from our body. Sir, what are the waste materials should be removed from the body? First, water, excess water, carbon dioxide, and ammonia, urea, uric acid, creatinine, and bile pigments, and others. Here, you know very well, during the cellular respiration, we are going to get the energy by the digested food. Here, in the cellular respiration, in the previous classes we have already discussed that in the cellular respiration takes place in the mitochondria. After cellular respiration, the water will release and thus carbon dioxide will release. These are the two waste materials in the cellular respiration. And and in the digestion, the converting the proteins into amino acids. These are the waste materials are going to produce. Here, ammonia, urea, uric acid, creatinine. Among all these, the ammonia is very dangerous. Why it is very dangerous? It is very toxic in nature. It should be removed from the body. And bile pigments, the liver converting the breaking down the red blood cells. During this process, the bile pigments like bilirubin, biliverdin are going to produce, and as well as creatinine and other also. Here, urochrome also. Urochrome is pigment which gives the color to the urine. It is the straw color. Now these are the waste materials, mainly waste materials in the body: water, carbon dioxide, ammonia, urea, uric acid, creatinine, bile pigments like bilirubin, biliverdin and urochrome. We should be remove all these waste materials from our body. Otherwise, all these waste materials are accumulating in our body. It becomes toxic and it leads to the death of a person. That's why we should remove this all the waste materials from the body. Here you may get it out. Sir, how these waste materials is sending out from the body? Here, to sending out from the body all these materials, we have a system. It is called excretory system. Here, excretion means during the metabolic activities, as I told you, waste materials are going to be produced. These waste materials means sending out the waste materials from the body is called excretion. Excretion. Now, in the excretory system, mainly having two kidneys. You know very well, these are the structure of the kidneys, excretory system. Here we have two kidneys. This is the left kidney, this is the right kidney, and this is renal vein, this is renal artery. Now the renal artery brings oxygenated blood. You know very well, oxygenated blood means what? Oxygenated blood is the blood, oxygen rich blood. Rich blood. In the blood, the oxygen is more. Oxygenated blood, along with all these waste material, whatever I said just before, all these waste materials along with the oxygen received by the renal artery and enters into the both kidneys. Now, renal vein. This is the renal vein. After filtration of the blood in the both kidneys, the remaining blood after filtration, the blood enters into the renal vein to send to the heart. Now, here these are the ureters. This is the bladder. These are both kidneys. Now, here, sir, what is the function of the ureters? After formation of urine in the both kidneys, these ureters helps to send this urine into the bladder. Now this is the bladder, it is a sac-like structure. In the bladder, the urine is going to store. And this is the urethra, it is the external opening, the urine is passing out through the urethra. Now, here if you want to see, as I told you, in the excretory system, kidneys, renal artery, renal vein, ureters, bladder, urethra, these are the main organs in the excretory system. Here, if you want to see what are kidney. If you want to know, we have to do a lab activity. To do the lab activity, we need a good kidney and a blade and water, jug of water and tray. Here you need to take a goat kidney that should be fresh and blade or scalpel and jug of water and tray. Now take the goat kidney and wash the goat kidney thoroughly to remove the blood and keep in the tray and slowly with the help of the teacher you have to cut longitudinal section. After longitudinal section we can see the kidney appears like this. It is the LS of the kidney. Now, if you see the structure of the LS of the kidney, both kidneys, same structure is there. LS of the kidney, the dark colored part is cortex, and this area is called medulla. In the medulla, all the nephrons are situated, and this is the pelvis, and these are called calyces. These are called calyces, and these smallest units are called the nephrons. Here, this is the renal artery, this is the renal vein, and this is the ureter. Now, cortex, medulla, all the nephrons are situated. This empty place is called pelvis, and these structures, the triangular structures are called calyces, and the smallest units of the kidney is called nephrons. And you know very well, this is the ureter. This is the ureter and renal artery, and this is the renal vein. You know very well, by the renal artery, oxygenated blood enters into the kidneys, and after filtration, the blood enters into the renal vein and urine enters into the urethra. Now the blood enters into the both kidneys by the renal artery. When blood is enters into the renal artery, the nephrons, the blood is going to filter, and after filtration, the remaining blood is enters into the renal vein to the heart, and the urine is enters into the ureters to bladder to urethra. Now here, structure of the kidney. You know very well, it is bean shaped kidney. The color of the kidney is reddish brown color, and the length of the kidney 10 centimeters length, 5-6 centimeters width, and 4 centimeters thickness. Here the length of the kidney is 10 centimeters. The width of the kidney 5 to 6 centimeters, and the thickness of the kidney is 4 centimeters. Here you may get a doubt here, sir, this right kidney slightly situated than the left one. Why so? Here in the right side, liver is there. The liver occupied this place. That's why the right kidney slightly situated than the left kidney. And as well as you may get, sir, what are these? These are the adrenal glands on both kidneys. This is the structure of the kidney. Now here, as I told you, these are the nephrons. You know very well, in each kidney 1.3 to 1.8 millions of kidneys, millions of nephrons are there in each kidney. In each kidney 1.3 to 1. Millions of nephrons are there. Sir, what is nephron actually? Nephron is the structural functional unit of the kidney. Here in the nephrons, the blood is going to filter to form the urine, to remove and to filter all the waste materials in the nephrons. In the each nephron, as I told you, 1.3 1.8 millions of the nephrons are there. Now here the renal artery carries oxygenated blood into the both kidneys. In the kidneys, you know very well, this is the internal structure. In the internal structure, in the each kidney, 1.8 millions of the nephrons are there. In these nephrons, the urine is going to filter. After filtration, the remaining blood enters into the renal vein. The renal vein is connected to the heart, and the filtered urine, after filtration, the remaining waste materials are enters into the ureters. These are the both ureters sending these waste materials to the bladder to urethra to outside. Now we are going to learn about the structure of the nephron. As I told you, in the nephron, the blood is going to filter and form the urine. How? We will discuss. Here, this is the structure of the nephron. The structure of the nephron, it has two main parts: renal capsule and renal tube. In the renal capsule, this is this area, first area, renal capsule. In the renal capsule, it is also known as the Malpighian body. In the Malpighian body or in the renal capsule, we have two main parts. Those are called Bowman's capsule, glomerulus. Yes sir, what do you mean by Bowman's capsule? Here you can see this cup-like structure. This cup-like structure in the nephron is called Bowman's capsule. This cup-like structure. Now, in this cup-like structure, there is a network of smallest capillaries. These are called glomerulus. The glomerulus is formed by the afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. Here, the efferent arteriole, it is the blood vessel connected by the renal artery. As I told you, renal artery oxygenated blood along with the waste materials. Now, this efferent arteriole enters into the Bowman's capsule. In the Bowman's capsule, a network-like structure is formed by the efferent arteriole. Now this efferent arteriole leads to the efferent arteriole. Here you can see the efferent arteriole somewhat, the lumen size is big than the efferent arteriole. The lumen size is somewhat big than the efferent arteriole. It is the efferent arteriole having the big lumen size. Lumen size means inside it is a big tube like structure. It is somewhat smaller one. Here this network like structure is called glomerulus. It is the first part of the nephron. Renal capsule, this is called renal capsule. In the renal capsule, Bowman's capsule is there. Bowman's capsule. This Bowman's capsule is a cup-like structure. In this Bowman's capsule, a network like smallest capillaries are there. This network is called the glomerulus. This Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus combined called as the Malpighian body. Here, podocyte cells are there in the glomerulus. In the Bowman's capsule, squamous epithelium is the inner walls of the Bowman's capsule. You know, squamous epithelium is a type of tissue. It is a thin layer covered inner walls of the Bowman's capsule. In this squamous epithelium, the podocyte cells are there. In the podocyte cells, we can see small holes or pores. By these small holes, the filtered blood enters into the rest of the parts. Now, come to the second part, renal tubule. These are the renal tubule. Here, in the renal tubule, we see mainly three parts. First one is the PCT, this primary convoluted tubule or proximal convoluted tubule, and this U-shaped structure is called loop of Henle, and again this distal convoluted tubule. This is the distal convoluted tubule. This is the proximal convoluted tubule. Sir, what do you mean by proximal convoluted tubule? Tubule means a tube-like structure. Convoluted means twisted, and proximal means near. Proximal convoluted tubule, which is near to the Bowman's capsule. That's why we can say it is the proximal convoluted tubule. And this is the distal convoluted tubule. You know very well, tubule means tube-like structure. Convoluted means twisted, and distal means far, somewhat far than the Bowman's capsule. That's why it is the distal convoluted tubule. Now this proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule are connected by the loop of Henle. And this distal convoluted tubule is connected by the connecting duct. All the nephrons are connected by this connecting duct. The connecting duct opens into the pelvis to the ureter to the urethra. Now, again this efferent arteriole is forming and covered all these nephron, this net-like structure is forms a small tube-like structure and enters into the renal vein. This is the renal vein. By this renal vein, all the remaining blood is enters into the heart. Now, this is the structure of nephron. Structure of nephron consists mainly two parts: renal capsule and the renal tubule. Renal capsule, also known as Malpighian body. In the Malpighian body, Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus. These are the two parts. This cup-like structure is called the Bowman's capsule. In the Bowman's capsule, the filtered urine is received by the Bowman's capsule. In the Bowman's capsule, the smallest blood capillaries are there. These are called the glomerulus. Now, this glomerulus is formed by the efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole is the smallest blood vessel. The efferent arteriole makes the glomerulus and leads to the efferent arteriole. The lumen size of the efferent arteriole is somewhat bigger than the efferent arteriole. The efferent arteriole covers all the nephronic body. Yes, and then the renal tubule are PCT. This is the proximal convoluted tubule. This is the distal convoluted tubule. The PCT and the DCT are connected by the loop of Henle. Now this DCT is connected to the collecting duct. This is the structure of the nephron. Now, function of the nephron, how the blood is going to filter and how the urine is going to form in the nephron. Now we discuss about the mechanism of formation of urine. Here, just before I told you that the structure of the nephron. If you see here, for better understanding, I used two markers. This blue color is one tube and this black color one tube. Just understand that. Here, this is the nephron. As I told, this is the Bowman's capsule and this is the glomerulus. And this is the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and collecting duct. And as well as this network-like structure, nothing but it is the capillary network or peritubular network. Here, if you see the structure keenly, here the efferent arteriole enters into the Bowman's capsule. In the Bowman's capsule, the efferent arteriole makes a network-like structure, a net-like structure to leads efferent arteriole. Now this efferent arteriole make here also network-like structure. This zigzag pipes or tubes are called peritubular capillaries. This one tube, this blue color is one tube and this black color is one tube. Now here by the renal artery, by this renal artery, the oxygenated blood along with the waste materials enters into the Bowman's capsule. In the Bowman's capsule, the blood is filtered, and after filtration, the primary urine is going to form. It is enters in the Bowman's capsule. How? Here I will tell. Here, the formation of urine consists 4 stages. Here, first one is the glomerular filtration. Tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, and formation of hypertonic urine. Here, the formation of urine in the nephron consists 4 stages: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, formation of hypertonic urine. Now, let us discuss about the glomerular filtration. Now, if you see the structure of the Bowman's capsule, the inner walls of the Bowman's capsule covered by the squamous epithelium. The squamous epithelium is a type of tissue. In the squamous epithelium, podocytes cells are there. In these podocyte cells, between them, small holes are there, like Steiner. Here, now we are discussing about the glomerular filtration. Here, the oxygenated blood along with the waste materials carried by the renal artery. The renal artery is connected to efferent arteriole. The lumen size is big, as I told you. The efferent arteriole enters into the Bowman's capsule. In this Bowman's capsule, in the glomerulus, the urine is forming, means the blood is filtered, the filtered blood enters into the Bowman's capsule and remaining blood enters into the efferent arteriole. Here actually the efferent arteriole, because of the narrowness of the efferent arteriole, the blood is presently enters into the glomerulus. In the glomerulus, efferent arteriole is there. When we compare to the efferent arteriole, the lumen size is small, means it is the narrowness. Because of the narrowness, the blood is presently enters into the efferent arteriole. Due to that, the blood is filtered in the Bowman's capsule. Now, come to tubular reabsorption. Here, after filtration, the filtered liquid is called as primary urine. The primary urine enters into the PCT, means proximal convoluted tube. I will tell you that what will happens to this blood. First, the primary urine enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. Why proximal convoluted tubule? Tubule means it is a tube-like structure, convoluted means twisted, and proximal means just near to the Bowman's capsule. That's why we can say this part is proximal convoluted tubule. Now, this primary urine enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. When the urine enters into the proximal convoluted tubule, some of the useful materials are reabsorbed into this peritubular network. The peritubular network connected to the efferent arteriole, it leads to the and connected to the renal vein. Here, now in this area, actually this filtered urine almost all equal to the blood except blood cells. Only blood cells and remaining some fluid enters into the efferent arteriole. The primary urine enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. It is equal to the blood, but in this urine there is no blood cells. Here it means what? In this primary urine, most of the important materials are there, such as glucose, amino acids, vitamin C, potassium, calcium, sodium, chlorides. 75% of the water reabsorbed. Reabsorbed means enters into this capillary network, where in the proximal convoluted tubules. In this area, the tubular reabsorption takes place. Now, after filtration in the glomerulus, the Bowman's capsule receives the primary urine. The primary urine is almost all equal to the blood except blood cells. This primary urine enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. In this proximal convoluted tubule, now tubular reabsorption takes place. Why? Because in this primary urine, all these important materials are there: glucose, ammonia, vitamin C, potassium, calcium, chlorides, sodium, and 75% of the water reabsorbed into the peritubular network, this black colored network. Then after this, the urine is enters into the distal convoluted tubule. In this distal convoluted tubule, the third step, it is tubular secretion, takes place. Here the blood enters into the tubular network by the efferent arteriole. In this blood, the wastages like urea, uric acid, creatinine, salts, ions like Ka plus, Na plus, and H plus, all these are into the DCT, distal convoluted tubule. Why? Because these are all waste materials to be removed out. Yes, here third step is tubular secretion. The tubular secretion takes place in the distal convoluted tubule area in the blood. In this peritubular network, the blood is flowing and this DCT urine is flowing, and from this tubular network the waste materials like urea, uric acid, creatinine, salts and other potassium, Na plus H plus ions are enters into the DCT to maintain the proper pH in the body, in the blood also. Now this DCT is connected by the collecting duct. This is the collecting duct. All the nephrons are collected by the collecting duct. You know very well 1.3 to 1.8 millions of nephrons are there. I am telling about the only in one nephron how the urine is going to form, how the blood is going to filter. I am explaining that. Here this is the collecting duct. For example, this is one nephron, this is one nephron, this is one nephron, and this is one nephron. All the nephrons are connected by the collecting duct. And then later, the formation of hypertonic urine. Next step. How? Here, the 75% of the water and all the materials are reabsorbed, and the waste materials are enters into the DCT, and it is the concentrated urine now. Now this concentrated urine enters into the collecting duct. Nothing but the formation of hypertonic urine. All the waste materials are enters into the urine and all the useful materials are reabsorbed into the blood. That's why it is the hypertonic urine. Now these are the four steps. Later this process is depend upon the vasopressin hormone. The persons who take more fruit juices, more water, more liquid food items, then they releases the proper urine. But in some people, they releases the more concentrated urine because of the dehydration and some other problems. Then in that persons, the vasopressin hormone releases to maintain the proper formation of the urine. Here, the lack of vasopressin hormone, it leads to the excess amount of the urine to be passed out, and as well as repeated urine to be passed out, it leads to the diabetes insipidus disease. Then this is the formation of urine, mechanism of the formation of urine. Let me conclude. Here, nephron is the structural functional unit of the each kidney. Here the formation of urine consists 4 stages: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, and formation of hypertonic urine. There are 4 stages are there in the formation of urine. Now first step is glomerular filtration. In the glomerular filtration, when the blood enters into the Bowman's capsule through the efferent arteriole with help of the renal artery carries the oxygenated blood and as well as the waste materials sending into the efferent arteriole. The efferent arteriole connected to the Bowman's capsule. It makes the glomerulus. In the glomerulus, the blood is filtering, and after filtration, the urine, the primary urine, enters in the cup-like structure also known as the Bowman's capsule. Now this primary urine enters into the proximal cannulated tubule. Now it is the first step. Why? Because here in the first step, because of the podocyte cells, the urine is enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. In this proximal convoluted tubule area, the tubular reabsorption, the second step is going to be done. Here, in this area, glucose, amino acids, vitamin C, potassium, calcium, sodium, chloride and 75% of the water. All these materials are reabsorbed into the capillary network, and later this primary urine enters into the DCT. It is nothing but the distal convoluted tubule with the help of the capillary network. Now in this distal convoluted tubule, the third step will be there. It is nothing but the tubular secretion. In this tubular secretion, the waste materials which are present in the blood secreted into the DCT area. The waste materials like urea, uric acid, creatinine, salts and other ions to maintain the proper pH. After this DCT sending this urine into the collecting duct. All the nephrons are connected by the collecting duct. Collecting duct opens into the pelvis to the ureter to the bladder to the outside. Hope you understood the class. Thank you.